Hi to all of my Molitunin Talk audience. Today we are on a conversation with a very popular person since yesterday. That is none other than Mr. Janaka Ratnayaka, who was the former PUCSL chairman. Hi, Mr. Ratnayaka. How are you doing?
Great. I'm very fine. Yeah.
Nice to hear that. Let me
Yes.
ask, who's
Yes.
Janaka Ratnayaka is?
Janaka Ratnayaka is an entrepreneur who's engaged in very successful business, starting his business with, like say around 30 years back with nothing. Hailing from Kandy, from a village called Dambavela, who studied up to grade 4 in a village school and went to one of the best schools in Kandy, Tamil Nadu. And then going to a university and studied public administration as a special degree while being in university in Moscow, Russia, and with higher studies from University of Colombo, and with few programs that I have attended in Harvard University as well. So I have, I think that I have necessary qualifications in Sri Lanka, and from two ends, from socialist country and from the capitalist world. So this is a very brief note of me. Is it enough or you want? Yeah.
Great. Because anyway, my next question was to talk about your educational background, because the things, to be very frank, the things what we heard yesterday in the parliament, some people, some MPs, they were talking that it was not any competitive exam. You just came to the seat. That's what my next question I was going to ask from you. What is your educational background? But you gave, that's more than enough. That's nice.
Yeah.
Ms. Ratnayaka, are you a winner or a loser?
Yes. I'm always a winner. I have been a winner always. I have never lost. I think even from the yesterday's battle at the parliament, I think although they do not understand the big picture of this, I am the winner. And this is the first time in history of Sri Lanka, parliament got together and had a 7 hours plus debate to ouster a chairman of a public commission who has been voice of the common people, and maybe trying to give some benefits to the people, where Public Utilities Commission has been the regulator, where this common people has been basically deprived from their basic things with the last two tariff hikes of electricity industry in Sri Lanka. So the most sad part of the story is that the people who were elected by the common people are going against independent commission chairman who is the voice of the common people. It's very a pathetic situation here in this country, and the constituents have probably failed to understand their responsibilities.
Well, let me come to that point. As you mentioned, independent commission. From the MPs yesterday, this is again what we heard, what they said.
Yeah.
You have always mentioned this commission is independent, but you were not independent. Is that accusation is true or false?
It is not correct. It's it is false that they are talking about. You know what the politicians in this country talk in, or maybe debate in parliament. They don't talk relevant subjects. So they do not study the subjects. They just come out with character assassination and allegations, baseless. It has been the practice of these ignorant politicians who have been selected by the people, the way that they behave in Sri Lanka.
Okay. So as we know, yesterday was a very decisive day. So that's the truth. And there was a long-term battle between government and the PUCSL. Am I correct? So
no, PUCSL is part of the government. So the conflict between the regulator who has been which has been established by the Act of a Parliament, PUSL Act of 2002, which is supported by the Electricity Act of 2009. It's a conflict between what is right, what is wrong, what is ethical, and what is not. It is not a battle between government and independent regulator.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. So do you think, according to your point of view, after what has happened yesterday, was that the climax you were expecting? Is this the same climax you were expecting?
Yes. I have been expecting these results, although the others did not know it. And I knew that, when you challenge the political system in this country, from executive president to the cabinet and to the others, and this result, what we saw was inevitable. So this is orchestrated by many, and I have been part of it.
Okay, Ms. Ratnayaka, now let me come back to these allegations.
Yes.
The particular minister has given 5 allegations against you. But
the particular minister is the Minister of Finance, is the President of Sri Lanka.
Well, okay. And the minister, Mr. Kanchana Vijayasekara, we heard what he was saying.
Yeah.
Some allegations in the parliament, which he was coming up with.
Yes.
Regarding former Chief Justice Mrs. Shirani Bandaranayake, actually, were you making any files regarding her to expel her from her post in front of the Parliamentary Selection Commission? Did you give any statement against her? Is these things are true?
No, I think you have to look at what were the allegation against me to oust me from the position of Chairman of Public Utilities Commission in Sri Lanka. There were 5 allegations. Originally there were 5 allegations. The first one was that with the power cut during the important exams, that is advanced level exams, we had power cuts. And I was against it. And we basically gave certain directions to the other institutions which are being regulated by us not to have power cuts during this exam period, where they did not comply. So then we went to the Human Rights Commissions, nothing came out. Then the members, we had 4 members of the commission, we unanimously decided to go to courts. We went to appeal court and said that this is unfair. During the examination period, they should give uninterrupted power, which the authorities did not agree. And during this legal battle, they dismissed the case without hearing. In this dismissal, there was some observation against me, indicating that I have abused my powers. And they further said that it was not a unanimous decision. I have taken decisions on my own without getting the consent of the others. I think these facts are wrong. And I have submitted the relevant documents to the Parliament and the constitutions to go through. And the third allegation was it's something to do with the business. I run a successful business in making high-rise apartments, and I am into leisure industry as well. They said that I have some business conflicting interest with the electricity industry. The fourth one was that I have been always against the tariff hikes, which is basically baseless allegation, because I am the one who proposed when I became the chairman of PUSL, I think almost in first month of January 2022, since CEB, Ceylon Electricity Board, was making losses almost 50 billion a year. I suggested verbally a few times to the board of CEB, but they did not agree. Therefore, I wrote to them and said that we request for a tariff revision that we will approve. So they complied with me, and after 2-3 months, we got a request for the tariff revision where we approved the first tariff revision in August, where the utility provider wanted 275%, but commission said that on cost recovery basis, it is 75%. And during this time, the first revision, the subject minister objected to that, saying that there are a lot of corruption and mismanagement at the utility provider. Therefore, increment should not be given, price increase. And there was another revision that CB requested in January with 65% increase, where PUSL, after careful calculation and determination, we said they should be allowed only 35%. And during the same time, the cabinet ordered to implement the same proposal which was submitted by the regulator of 65%. And since there are no provisions as per the Act of PUSL for cabinet to decide that, again, the members of the commission rejected it. And the conflict, what I had with the subject minister and the government or maybe the other authorities, aggravated. And what happened was, although I approved the scientific way of, revising the tariff in February 2023, other members who were politically appointed, without having any deliberation about the tariff revision methodology, they rejected my proposal and they unlawfully gathered and approved the proposal given by the CB without any going through the proper consultation process or methodology.
Let me disrupt you from there for a while, please. This is the battle between 3% and the 27%. Are we correct?
No, this is the battle between 35%, which recommended by PUSL, the team tariff division, and the proposal sent by CB for 65%, where the lower category users who are using under 30, 60, and 90 units per month were increased from 250% to 150% respectively. And this has nothing to do with this 25% and 29% that the subject ministry is talking about. This is the conflict that have been, going on for last 1 year. But I need to probably add one more thing. And when the incumbent president was elected as the prime minister a year ago, in his inaugural speech, he said that we are heading for a huge crisis in power industry. Baseless, things according to the data which is compiled by the CB. And maybe the very next day, the secretary to the prime minister was in touch with my personal assistant and said that commission chairman should not make any adverse comments on the speech that the prime minister made. And I did not like anyone to interfere into the independency of the commission. I called him and said that he has no right or business to talk about the commission matters, and followed up with a strong worded letter for him to be away from this regulatory framework. I think likewise, this conflict between the political hierarchy at the topmost level, cabinet level, and the ministers level, and the institutional level aggravated. And the result was, this allegation that I said was sent to me. I replied appropriately. But one more thing that I need to say about this allegation, although there were 5 allegations, 3 were dropped. My conflict of interest and my resistance to the high price revision, and the other one. Only 2 that they were to debate, but as you saw the debate in the parliament, they brought up many things. Things that even you said about the removal, impeachment of the former CJ, and character assassination, and many things. I think these are baseless. Now, they said that I have been the creator of impeaching the former CJ. I do not agree with that. But since the transaction was connected to my business, I had to provide certain information to the parliament for the impeachment process. I do not deny that. And it was a business transaction that I had to probably give evidence at the impeachment committee before the parliament, which I did so. But the decision to remove the former CJ, Shirani Bandaranaike, was a unanimous decision of the impeachment committee of parliament. Is that explanation enough?
Yeah, that's great. So let me ask this, Ms. Ratnayaka, regarding Sri Lankan power sector policy. Are you happy? We need a very frank answer from you. Are you happy with that sector and the policy?
No. Now, I'm not happy. For the basic reason is that The Public Utilities Commission objective is to advise the government on policy of electricity. And we have issued during my period many advisory memos to the government as the regulator, as the advisor. But no matters was taken very seriously. So then how can you be happy with the process? What is happening again?
Yeah, understood. So basically, from your side, what you're trying to say is, even though the independent commissions are there, but
yeah, and not
there's
only
a
the
very
independent
huge
commission,
exclamation mark.
yes. Now, apart from being the regulator, we are supposed to be the advice according to the Act. So when we provide advice to the government, the other institutions, especially to the cabinet, they do not take any notice because they have different agenda. The agenda is to make sure that their decisions are being implemented through independent commissions, which is under my chairmanship. I did not allow. So I did not succumb to the pressure of minister or the cabinet or the pressure from the topmost political hierarchy. That is the conflict which got aggravated. And according to the Act, they had to get absolute majority, 50% plus 1. They managed to get 10 more than what they wanted.
Okay, let me ask this from you, Mr. Ratnaik. Before it came on top of the the table, was there something happening under the table? That means personally, were they forcing you to do something or to go out of your position, something like that? Has it taken place, something like that?
I said that I do not succumb to any pressure. I have backbone and the mindset to withstand. So they never asked me. And they know that even if they ask me, I don't comply. So I don't think. So they had to resort to this yesterday's to get absolute majority. If they did not get, I'm still the chairman. Now I am the chairman because they got what they want. But I was not to give up.
Okay.
I think I offered formidable resistance to the unlawful allegations and unreasonable removal of independent commission chairman.
Okay. Then after this voting matter, we saw former President Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, you'd have seen that, he was making a statement saying that you should have known how to work with the government. You should have known. Mm-hmm. So is it how much is that correct? No. Is that correct, that statement?
No. That statement is not correct. I got to know the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa way back in even before he became the president. And during his first campaign, he said the same thing. He changed, I didn't. He said that you compromise with the politicians. I never did. And in my public jobs, I do not compromise my integrity, my pattern of work, and I do not succumb to any political pressure. I proved that to the others and to the entire Sri Lankan community yesterday.
Right. And are you the responsible person for all the power cuts, as Minister Vijay Sekar said?
No. Power cuts was a result of mismanagement of this huge entity with corruption, mismanagement, and overstaffing. And PUSL has been predicting these power cuts way back in 2016. And in 2017, PUSL proposed to the government and to the utility provider that the combination of power generation should be 60-40, 60 renewable and 40 others. But they did not agree, and they even, in fact, came into basically a non-cooperative pact with PUSL, where we need to go to take legal action to get necessary data. So we anticipated and we warned the government, I think 4 to 5, 6 years back, even before the 14 hours power cut. And I was trying to get at the former president who ran away from the presidency. And I was trying to tell him that, when you go beyond maybe 8 to 10 hours power cut, it is not possible a government to survive. And they did not take our advice seriously. What happened? After maybe few days, the people started rioting, and we call it Aragalaya. And what was the result? Result was that the the president elected by the 6.9 million people, and the prime minister, the same person that you were saying that, to compromise with the politicians, had to quit, entire cabinet. And the results, there was a public agitation and everything. And people are talking about retribution. That is retribution of not delivering what they're supposed to do, and ruining this the nice country and the economy into a bankruptcy state.
Ms. Ratnak, again, let me come back to this power sector policy. Why is Sri Lanka still in the dark ages when we come to power sector? What's the reason? Who's stopping that? Now, there are so many ways where we can go as the developed countries because they don't have power cuts. Even for a single minute, when there's a power cut, the minister has to step down or the particular officers has to step down. But why Sri Lanka is not still like that? What's the reason for that?
Reason is that I think in this electricity industries in Sri Lanka, we have long-term generation plan, which is planned for 20 years. The longest plan done by a government institution is not being implemented due to many things, basically due to political interference, like what happened yesterday. Now, see, you see the case of 2014, where because of this so-called ex-president's promise to the voters, they reduced the electricity tariff by 25% in 2014. And for next 7 years, there was no request by the utility provider for any revision. And what PUSL does is, when there was a proposal, then they will analyze it and they give the revision. So for 7 years, there was no tariff request or proposal made by the utility provider, where in 2014 they reduced 25%. Now their turnover was 250 million, 25% is 50 billion rupees. For next 7 years, 350 billion. 50 billion to 7 is 350. And if you look at the bottom line, the losses of CB for the same period is 320 billion. So due to a bad political decision, ignorant decision, CB continued losses for 7 years, over 300 billion. Now again, in this year also, when PUSL proposed a reasonable cost recovery tariff method, they said that they got politically affiliated people to put that the proposed recognized tariff proposal away, and they implemented a 65% tariff hike with a wrong anticipated power demand for this year, which they have calculated at 16,500 gigawatt hours. And PUSL said that, this hour with this problems that we have, the economy shrinking 8% in 2022 and anticipated shrinking is 3% in this year, and the reduced demand due to economic reasons and the increase of the tariff, and there was a demand loss of around 20%. And that in the world market, the raw material prices of the fuel and the coal has come down. And in Sri Lanka, rupee was appreciated by almost 20%. And having all those things, the demand loss and all these factors, we said the demand for this year would be in the range of 15,000 gigawatt hours. And based on that only, we provided 35% hike. Now, they did not agree then. Now, with the latest submissions by the CB around 10 days back, they are almost in line with our demand. Now, what happens is the price hike, what they implemented unethically and unlawfully, has become null and void, and they are on par with the predictions of PUSL. That's why I said that, political hierarchy, like in 2014, they took the same wrong decision in 23 with 65%, because of the political interferences into regulatory affairs will not bring good results in this industry. So therefore, only that we have been having these troubles, especially with regard to the electricity sector in Sri Lanka.
And Ms. Ratnak, that we believe now you're a very free person to talk, to give your point
Yes.
of views. Don't
Yes.
you think still we are suffering like this with the power cuts and so-called so many things because of now you said political interference. Political interference are taking place is that because of the corruption?
I do not know, and because I never talk about corruption because I have no evidence. I always talk about facts-based theories and the decisions what we made at PUSL. But I think these ignorant politicians lack the knowledge of the industry, and they are more worried of their power, or maybe they want to probably exercise their power upon the especially commissions and all the other institutions. And I think it's the mindset of political hierarchy in this country. So therefore, what happens is industry is having problems. Finally, the end user, the consumer, and 21 million people in this country.
Yeah, because each and every consumer, they do pay their electricity bill at the proper time. Then why?
Yes.
But the people's problem is then if we are paying our payments or the bills at the proper time, why are we suffering without power? It's not people's problem. Who has taken us to this situation? That's their problem now. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
representing the commoners stage. I'm talking behalf of them. So that's the reason I think this is a very good conversation because you're also very much free to talk, to give all your ideas and the explanations. It's really nice of you. And let me come back to the yesterday situation. You and
Let
family.
me explain
Yeah.
to you on this the the matter that you raised. Now you see, in last February, tariff was increased unethically and unlawfully by 65%, and their revenue per month is around 50 billion per month, and it is almost few hundred million per month. Still, the revenue is increased by almost 100% since last August. It was around in the range of 25 billion. It doubled and 50 billion. Now, still, even after having two tariff hikes, they are still making losses. And they have borrowed 20 billion from two leading state banks. And what happens is, what I see the issue in this large entity is that it is mismanaged or grossly managed. I think in my explanation is there's no management, and they do not manage their cash flows, and they have no experts to manage their cash flows. And if you look at the revenue of CB, it is the largest business single entity in Sri Lanka, almost twice the size of any private conglomerate in Sri Lanka. So when they do not have expertise to manage their finances, cash flow especially, so they obviously make losses, even if it is double up to 100 billion. I don't think that they have expertise to manage this. Before restructuring, they need to make sure that they have the right experts to manage the huge amount of money that they collect from these innocent people, taxing them, unlawfully and illegally. And therefore, cash management, finance management has to be before they do anything. You can go for it.
Yeah. Let me
Yes.
come back to yesterday's situation again. You and the
Yeah.
family have made a request to observe the debate yesterday, but you
Yes.
didn't get that opportunity. What was the real
Yes.
answer from that side? What was the reason?
It was very funny because I knew that they will not allow me. Therefore, I wrote to the Secretary General of Parliament, who's the authority, and requested that I, together with my two sons, that want to witness, because this is once in a lifetime or once in the history of any country happens. And I waited few days, and then my secretaries was trying to get confirmation. Since it did not come, I contacted the Speaker of the Parliament, who said, the viewing gallery is closed. And it was a laughing stock because there were even students in the gallery yesterday. Then I spoke to the Sergeant at Arms. He was very polite, genuine, and very resourceful. He said that since there's a debate of you, if you are trying to come with your two sons, you know how this parliament works. They use many unparliamentary things and the words. Therefore, it's better that you refrain. So I respected that. We mutually agreed to refrain, but I watched, very happily from my office. I was enjoying every bit of that. So 7.5 hours, and I knew the results, and I was very happy because I knew it was coming. And if they do not know, I pushed them to do this, and they don't know this.
Okay. Let me ask this. What has happened yesterday in the parliament? Do you think that it's a threat for the democracy? Because always we talk about the democratic country,
Yes.
so many things. So what has happened yesterday, it has given an idea to lots of people. Is there a threat for this democracy?
In country like Sri Lanka, we lack policies. Policies means the institution like PUSL, powerful regulators. You look at all the developed countries, they have proper regulators in place. When the competition is high, when the many players are in the industry, regulatory framework is a must. Otherwise, the business will not happen in a very fair and level playing situation. So, but they have failed to understand that. And because of this situation, and what happened was yesterday is probably justified.
Okay. So let me ask the question what people are very much waiting to ask from you. What is your next move?
My next move is to I have two things. I'm a successful entrepreneur. I'll probably put more time, which I lost for last 2 years, running around power crises, power cuts, and tug of war with the other things. I am just free. So I will probably in initial stages I will concentrate in my business and to develop that. The economy is not doing good, but I'm a person who always finds opportunities in chaotic situations. That has been my the plus point. I will continue my pursuit on these things, and then the big the question will come into play. People ask me, I had maybe this is the seventh interview that I have for today. They ask, what's my next move? Next move is to work for the people. And there has been, many demands by the public, by the top clergies, professionals, and many organizations because we lack the real leadership. And as you know, the country has been ruined and not ruined. It is basically declared bankrupt country where now say if you categorize the world, according to what is studied in universities and elsewhere, we have developed countries, we have developing countries, we have underdeveloped countries. Now we are not in these three, we are a bankrupt country. Now, after 75 years of this party politics and the feudalism that we have ruined the country, we had many opportunities to make this country a beautiful one. I think as an entrepreneur, as a Sri Lankan, I still like to live over here. And because it's a country with a lot of resources, opportunities, and very educated people over there. What happens is these politicians, as I told you, take bad decisions. And end of the day, what happens is the people have to suffer. And now see, when they collect taxes and they give basically subsidies and things to the people, and they say that it is coming from the political hierarchy, but they should know that they are given all these subsidies and all those things concession from the tax collectors' money. And because politicians do not bring money, it is from the revenue of the government. Now you see, we are in debt of more than 54 billion US dollars. And economy has shrunk almost by 20%. We were in the range of around 90 billion US dollars economy, which has come down to 70, maybe 20 billion less than what we made before the crisis in 2019. And you look at per capita income, which was in the range of $4,500, has come down to 3,500 and declared bankrupt country. So what happens is that with all these problems, and I see that since there's a huge vacuum in leadership in this country, who has guts and the vision and backbone to do that, and this has to be done with inclusive governance and inclusive leadership, and with public consultation and everything what we do at the PUSL, Public Utilities Commission, that before everything tarified or any other decision that we take, we go to the people and we talk to the stakeholders, get their ideas, summarize, and our decisions are based on that. But what we are lacking over here, say for example, if you are making a constitution, who does it in Sri Lanka? And who needs the constitution? The constitution needed by the people. But what happens over here? It is done in an enclosed room by maybe 4 or 5 like-minded people without the will and the need of the people. They draft one. That's why we are looking at 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 amendments. One is basically contradict the other one. And the same constituents who are elected by the people are voting for and against. This is what has been happening here. That has to be changed in this country with a vision and with a plan. In my case, we are looking at a paradigm shift in this.
Okay, Mr. Ratnayaka, there are so many things.
Please
go
fill
ahead.
the vacuum, and fill the vacuum because we lack real leaders. There are enough political parties, more than 83 political parties. But if you look at the leaders, what we have been, having for last 75 years, they have not done their job properly because their political agenda is greater than the people's needs.
Got it. Actually, there are so many things to discuss with you, Mr. Ratnayaka, but we are really sorry we are running out of the time. So we'll join with you again. Thank you very much again for joining with us, because even with your busy schedule, so we wish you very much all the best with your future plans. Thank you very much for joining with us.
Molituninma Talk.